Today on Anime Saturday, I take a look at Season 1 of The Promised Neverland. Let's begin. The Promised Neverland is a thriller anime adapted from the 2016 manga created by Kaio Shirai and Posca Demizu. It tells the story of Emma, an 11-year-old orphan girl who lives in an orphanage with 37 other kids of various ages up to 12 years old, including her friends Ray and Norman. On the final day of one of the orphans in the house before leaving for her new home, Emma and Norman go to give her her favorite bunny before leaving. That's when they find out via the discovery of the child's body that the orphanage is actually a farm, and that they are all being brought up to be food for a race of monstrous demonic creatures. Now knowing the purpose of the orphanage and everyone's eventual fate, Emma, Norman, and Ray have to work together in order to figure out how to escape with everyone. I first heard about this anime from Glass Reflections video he did on it, giving his first impressions on the first couple of episodes. And from the title and the thumbnail of the video alone, I assumed a lot about this anime before I even watched Tristan's video on it. You see, because this anime is called The Promised Neverland, and I saw that the main protagonists were children, no joke, was initially under the impression that this was a Peter Pan related anime. I legit thought that it was a story about Emma being the first female member of the Lost Boys of Neverland and her struggles in trying to get them to accept her as an equal, which, I'm not gonna lie, I still watch in a heartbeat. So when I clicked on Tristan's first impression video and saw what it was truly about, I was all like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting at all. Still up my alley though. And let me tell you, readers, I'm glad that I checked this out. There's a lot of things that I like about this anime. I'm talking great flow of animation, great use of various forms of animation, great attention to detail in delivering proper emotions and character, and the way the story played itself out kept me engaged from beginning to end. But what initially got me interested in wanting to watch more of this anime, however, is the one thing that I personally crave in anime in the first place. Smart characters. And no, that doesn't mean that every character has to have a genius level IQ for me to like it. You'd have to really work some magic with the overall plot and the story in order for me to stay interested with if every character was like that. I'm talking about both small and big scale stuff, like having the natural thought to cover up your mouth when you're hiding so nobody can hear where you are. The Promised Neverland does a good job at showing that common sense is just as important as book smarts and strategy, and I'm glad that we have those representatives with Emma, Ray, and Norman respectively. The show does a good job at establishing these roles for all three characters as soon as the first episode. We see that Ray is the bookworm that chooses to spend his time in the library or under a shady tree with a book. We see Norman as a pretty good strategist and just a good critical thinker in general. And while Emma is more athletically inclined than the other two, it's been proven time and time again that while she may not be as fast as the two in all those fields, she can hold her own against them. I especially like that Emma is the one chosen to be the everyman, so to speak, because we get to see her grow, learn, and get better from not just the experiences that they have leading up to their initial showdown with Isabella, their caregiver, but she's also able to utilize what she absorbs from seeing what Ray and Norman dish out, including life itself. It also makes the leadership role she takes up by the time the season finale hits all the more believable to me, because we now see her as this absolute amalgamation of everything she encountered, everything she has to deal with, and everything she learned over the course of the season, and it happened naturally. But it's like I said before, it would be absolutely no fun to watch if you had smart characters in a scenario that they'd be able to easily decipher. So how does The Promised Neverland make itself entertaining to watch? By making the obstacles and antagonists just as smart in order to properly challenge the protags. And in some cases, proving to be the victor. I don't think he's dead. Isabella, or Mama, definitely played a role in this once she started to suspect that Emma and Norman knew about the farm. While she's definitely not my favorite anime antagonist, I will say that she was very effective for what the overall story of the first season was. I say she's not my favorite mostly because of how the anime tries to paint her and the other caregivers like her in a sympathetic light, despite everything we've seen her do and everything she's willing to do in order to maintain order. Yes, the exposition in regards to how the caregivers are initially chosen and raised was helpful, but Isabella's overall psychopathy kinda oversteps the boundaries the anime tries to get us to accept regarding us having any empathy for her, even when she's dealing with her own son. And speaking of caregivers, I didn't necessarily know what to think of Sister Crone during her existence. Like, I could see where they were going with the character and her overall determination to take over Isabella's spot, and I was indeed thankful that they used her as the initial catalyst to show us how the caretakers are chosen. But outside of just making her an obstacle for both the kids and Isabella to overcome, she didn't really bring that much to the table as far as giving us a chance to actually emphasize with the character's plight, despite being the perfect vessel. As I stated before, I could see where they were going with it. Crone had goals, Crone had trauma, Crone wanted to survive after being listed second best throughout her training. At least that's how I translated it. These would have been great things for the anime to poke and prod at regarding her character before her time was up. And considering the North American audience the show has, if it was indeed a forethought in Shalai and Demizu's mind when they created her, it would have been a hell of a lot more impactful because she's a black woman. But instead, whether it's because it wasn't present in the source material that is the manga, or because they didn't have enough time to show it in the anime, we only got the bits that made her look intimidating, petty, and power-hungry without any proper resolve. But in what the anime fails in delivering with its villains, it succeeds in showing with its protagonists. Especially Norman, who has honestly the best and most powerful scene in the entire goddamn anime. I'm sorry, I just can't end this video in good faith without at least mentioning that scene. Readers, The Promised Neverland Season 1 was good. The main characters are well written, smart, and likable. Plus, because the story and plot retaliates by being just as smart as its protags, you're constantly rooting for them because they're constantly being challenged. The animation perfectly displays intense moments and properly projects emotions in a way that I found very impressive. And while I felt that the anime failed to hit the mark regarding showing the internal conflict with them, the plot was still able to utilize their villains in a way that kept me interested in wanting to see the protags overcome them. All in all, I'm excited to see how Season 2 is going to be tackled in 2020. Right now, you can stream The Promised Neverland Season 1 on Crunchyroll, Funimation, and Hulu. Or if you want to watch it on regular cable, you can catch it on Adult Swim's Toonami block starting April 13th, 2019 at midnight. So with that being said, readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comments section below what you thought of The Promised Neverland Season 1 if you've seen it. Anime Saturday is possible thanks to the generous support of fellow readers over on Patreon. So if you want to see more and help financially support the channel, you can join it by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description box below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give one-time donations, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.